I'm Priscilla Barrera with the Investing News Network, and here with me today is Gianni Kovacevic, author and chairman of Copper Bank. Gianni, thank you so much for joining us today.
Nice to be back with you.
That's great. So we're here at PDAC Day 2. How are you finding the conference this year?
Well, on a temperature scale, lots of people here. There's interest. I think people are taking more time in the meetings that I have personally. There's more questions, lots of notes are being taken. There is reception for this industry at this moment, in my opinion.
Okay, that's great. And last time we spoke, we were at VRIC, and we talked about the future of copper and the electrification of the world. And you told us that, the electric car side of things is just one part of the story. So can you share with our audience a little bit about what other uses will copper have in the future?
Yeah, it's really a story of global growth and the per capita copper consumption around the world. I'm talking about the smallest village in Africa to the developed cities around the world. The things that we buy, increasingly so, have an electrical cord stuck out the back of them. This requires copper within that product, but also when you go up the process of energy, the way we transfer energy and the way we generate energy is increasingly going to be electrification. So in my opinion, the per capita copper consumption around the world is either going to have steady growth in the developed economies, with a higher amplitude, but it's really going to be pronounced in places like Africa, India, and increasingly so still in China, if people can believe it.
All right, and are there any factors that could derail the story for copper? Can something happen that copper will not perform at the level that you're predicting?
The CAGR growth for copper, demand for copper, since 1900 is about 3.5%. And you get a little bit of times of where that didn't take place. I believe the only thing that can disrupt copper is a calamity in collective global growth. If that was to manifest itself, this would be negative. We would not have demand for copper, even though I believe there's going to be an increase in the electrification of global energy. It would offset that. I don't believe we're going into an environment where we're going to have negative global growth. Anything's possible, but that is not what keeps me awake by night.
All right, and we know that you're a copper bull, but are you interested in any other commodities this year?
Well, I'm interested in all the electric metals. I think that copper has not really participated, perhaps, the valuations of the various companies, like some of the other metals. So I think still, and it's been our sort of theme for the last 3 interviews I gave, that you still want to look at copper equities. They are undervalued relative to the price of copper. In the past 15 months, copper went from $2 a pound to now it's $3.10, $3.20. Share prices haven't really moved. So I think you still want to be looking at copper equities.
All right, and we have a lot of investors here that are interested in the exploration sector, the junior resource sector. What is your favorite stock in that space?
Well, I have a few that I like. I think we talked about the Maracunga and what the Lundin group of companies are doing there. We talked about Southern Ecuador and what Ross Beatty and his team are doing there with Lumina Gold. And I have to also highlight Copper Bank. And some of my investors have been telling me, yes, it's an optionality story. So if we're within junior mining, Copper Bank is a school bus. It's not risky. We bought research. A lot of money's been spent on the projects we own. But it's also a magic word. It's growth. Copper Bank is growth and optionality. And it's accretive growth through exploration, through development, and through the pounds in the ground strategy. We have a lot of people in our technical team, and we are measuring and looking at how can we enhance our portfolio. This doesn't take a lot of dilution, but when the market normalizes, we're ready to execute on those cost-effective measures. So I think people need to look at Copper Bank from a longer term perspective, and of course I'm deeply conflicted. It's a company that I'm the largest shareholder of.
Right. And for investors that might be more conservative, do you have a particular stock pick in the copper sector?
Well, generalist investors are wondering up the food chain. Lundin Mining has a lot of cash. What is this company going to do with its cash hoard? So I think that's something that if you want to look at a blue chip copper stock, they got copper and zinc and some other base metals. Let's see what that company does in the coming months. I think we could have a nice outcome there.
All right, and finally, Gianni, what's next for you this year? Are you going to be talking in any other conferences?
Yeah, I'm going to be traveling all over the world. I have a deep schedule, and my book, which is now 19,000 copies, are on the street, and it's hitting audible.com today, March 5th, 2018. And I recently listened to the quality from my publishing house and the voice that was picked, and I think the themes that are discussed in my book are very relevant, even more so now than they were 2 years ago when I did my initial book tour. And if people enjoy books, maybe they've seen my book but haven't read it, audible.com, hitting the streets today, and it's very themic if you're interested in anything to do with electricity.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Once again, I'm Priscilla Barrera with the Investing News Network, and here is Gianni Kovacevic, author and chairman of Copper Bank.